Good morning students. Today we are going to see lesson 3 part 2. Already I finished part 1, isn't it? That is part B and part C. Now we are going to see about part D. First we will see about the law of variable proportion. First question, law of variable proportion. You see, the law says that if all the other factors are fixed in one input is varied in the short run, the total output will increase at increasing rate at first instance. That is, be constant at a point and then eventually decrease. Factors. It is first point you see. The law says that if all the other factors, what are the factors? Factors means land, labor, and capital. All the land, labor, and capital are 4 factors are there. Land, labor, and capital are 3 factors which we take for example. The law states that if all the other factors are fixed and one input is varied in the short run, the total output will increase at increasing rate at first instant, be constant at a point that then eventually decrease. According to G. Stigler, he is an economist, as equal increments of one input are added, the inputs of other productive services being held being constant. That is one for an organization. The land is added, the capital is added, the labor is added. Means what is happening? The organization is staying constant. Beyond a certain point, the resulting increments of product will decrease. As we saw in the marginal productivity, law of diminishing marginal productivity. As we add, what will happen? We saw in the previous lessons, isn't it? When we are hungry, if a person is hungry, when he is eating again and again the apples, what is happening? The usefulness will diminish. It will decrease. So that only they are telling here also. The resulting increments of product will decrease. That the marginal product will diminish. Diminish means decreasing. Now we will see about the assumptions of law of variable proportions. What are the assumptions of law of variable proportion? Only one factor is variable, while others are held constant. For example, you take land, labor, capital, all are same. Okay, only the organization is different. But all these factors are input for the organization. Only one factor is variable means the organization is variable, with the others held are constant. All units of the variable factor are homogeneous. Homogeneous means single factor. It may be a land, capital or labor. The product is measured in physical units. What is physical units? Physical units means grams, kilograms, liters, all these are called as physical units. There is no change in the state of technology. State of technology means the state of production. The same product will be produced. Even the land, labor, capital may vary. Maybe at different levels, but the production will be same. If they are putting 10 rupees, 10 rupees means what? The production will be equal to 30 rupees, isn't it? 10 labor, 10 capital, 10 land means is equal to 30. The organization whole sum is 30 rupees. 30 will be the total amount. So there is no change in the state of technology. The production will be the same. The product will be the same. There is no change in the price of the product. Then only they can impress the consumers. Then only the consumer will consume the same product which he once bought before. Now we will see about the tabular column for the law of variable proportion. The tabular column. First you will write the units of variable. Units of variable, we are taking only the labor now. L is labor. Okay. In this law of variable proportion, L is labor. Next one, my total product and marginal product, average product. So you take, first you will write the marginal product, that is 246420 minus 2. So it will be easy for you to memorize. With this, you see how to do the calculation. How you got the total product and how you got the average product, we will calculate, okay? So you see, marginal product is 2. So you will write the 2 in the total product column. First, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that is units of variable factor, you have written 1 to 7. So then next you have written the marginal product that is 2. So that 2 you are taking and writing it in total product column. So next one you see, marginal product is 4, isn't it? So now you are adding that 4 plus 2, the total product 4 plus 2 is 6. Then 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 plus 6 is 18. 16 plus 4 is, sorry, 1 second. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. And 4 plus 12 is 16. 2 plus 16 is 18. 0 plus 18 is equal to 18. And last one you see. 18 minus 2 means 16. The answer is 16. So this is the way you are getting the total product, this calculation. The third column you see, that is the average product column. How you are getting that? That is 2. You take total product column. 2 by 1. 2 by 1 and 6 by 3. 2 by 1, 6 by 2. In numbers you will come down. 6 by 2, 12 by 3. And 12 by 3, 16 by 4. 18 by 5, 3.6. 18 by 6, 3. And 16 by 7, 2.8. So this is the way you will calculate this tabular column and will get this 3 stages of variable proportion. So now we will see the curves for the variable proportion. You see in the x-axis, units of variable factor is there. And in the y-axis, total product, marginal product and average product is given. That is 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0, minus 2. So with this you will mark the curves. In variable factor you see 1 to 7 is given, isn't it? In y-axis the TP, MP and AP, that is total product, average product, marginal product, average product is given. With the tabular, you will draw the diagram. You will set this and first and then you will draw the diagram. So you will draw the curves according to this. With the tabular you will draw this diagram and the explanation for stage 1, that is in the first stage we saw, isn't it? In the first stage 3 columns are there, 3 calculations are there. 2, 3, 4 average product. So let us see the explanation. As I told you in economics, you will draw the diagrams and you will write the construction like geometry. In the first stage, MPL means marginal product of labor increases up to third laborer and it is higher than the average product, that is AP. In the first stage, the marginal product of labor increases up to third laborer and it is higher than the average product. So that total product is increasing at an increasing rate. The tendency of total product to increase at an increasing rate stops at the point A and it begins to increase at a decreasing rate. So you can see this in the tabular column. That is, when you are writing the construction, you just see the tabular column and the diagram also. And then you will write the construction, the illustration of the diagram and the tabular column. This point is known as point of inflection. That is, in the first stage MPL, marginal product of labor, increases up to third laborer and is higher than the average product. So that the total product is increasing at an increasing rate. The tendency of total product to increase at increasing rate stops at the point A and it begins to increase at decreasing rate. This point is known as point of inflection. So now we will see stage 2. In this stage, second stage, MPL, marginal product of labor, decreases up to 6 unit of labor where marginal product curve intersects the x-axis. At 4th unit of labor, marginal product of labor is equal to average product of labor. After this MPL curve is lower than the APL, TPL, that is total product of labor, increases at a decreasing rate. For this purpose, you can see the diagram. So you see the diagram also. Or you can draw the diagram in a paper and then you can write the illustrations. In the second stage, MPL decreases up to the 6th unit of labor where MPL curve intersects the x-axis. At 4th unit of labor, MPL is equal to APL. After this MPL curve is lower than the APL. Total TPL increases at a decreasing rate. Now we will see the last stage, the third stage. Third stage of production shows the 6th unit of labor is marked by negative MPL. MPL means marginal product of labor. The APL continues to fall but remains positive. Remains positive means what, it does not go to negative. After the 6th unit, TPL declines with the employment of more units of variable factor labor. Now we are seeing in this unit of variable what we have taken. We have taken only about labor, isn't it? So the last point is that after the 6th unit, TPL declines with the employment of more units of variable factor labor. Next we will see about the properties of Isaacson curve. The Isaacson curve which tells about the production curves, okay. First point, there are five types of Isaacson curves. First we will see about the Isaacson curve has negative slope, first point. It slopes downward from left to right, indicating that the factors are substitutable. Substitutable means capable of substitution. One product can substitute another product. If more of one factor is used, less of the other factors needed for producing the same level of output. If more of one product is used, that is instead of, if the construction is going on means if one more labor is needed. So adding a labor for the factor as a factor. The other factor is needed for producing the same level of output, isn't it? One construction is going on, one more labor is needed. They are adding a labor, they are finishing the work first. So what the same level of output will come out. Output means the profit. The process of work will come out the same level. In the diagram, combination A refers to more of capital K5. K5 means K means capital and less of labor L2. So you can see this in the diagram. As a producer moves B, C and D, more labor and less capital are used. So you see the point. As a producer moves to B, C and D, more labor and less capital are used. This is the diagram for first point. What is the first point? Properties of Isaacson curve. Next we will see about the convex to the origin. In this case, first they have given the illustration and then they have given the figure. So first we will see the illustration. This explains the convex to the origin. What is convex to the origin? Use of one good over another. Use of one good over another. It represents the rate of substitution. That is called as convex to the origin. This explains the concept of diminishing marginal rate of technical substitution. That is MRTS. MRTS means marginal rate of technical substitution. The L is represents the labor and the K represents the capital. So they have taken two factors. For example, the capital substituted 1 unit of labor goes on decreasing when moved from top to bottom. So if so, it is called diminishing when it is coming down. So moved from top to bottom means moving down, isn't it? So it is diminishing. So if so, it is called diminishing marginal rate of technical substitution. The next one is constant marginal rate of technical substitution, that is straight line, and increasing marginal rate of substitution means concave are also possible. Now we will see the diagrams for the illustration of convex to the origin. Convex to the origin means use of one good for over another. It represents the rate of substitution. The first one you see, that is what is that? Diminishing MRTS. That is left to right. The curve is coming left to right. Next one, constant means a straight line. Increasing means the marginal rate of technical substitution, increasing curve. That is concave curve. The last one is concave curve. Next one is constant curve. The first one is decreasing curve. So next one, number 3. Non-intersection of Isaacson curves. So we will go to the diagram first and then we will come for the explanation. With the diagram itself we can see. For instance, point A lie on the Isaacson. Isn't it? You see the curve A, the point A. Isaacson, say Isaacson IQ1 and IQ2. So in the top you can write IQ1 and here the x-axis you can write IQ2. But the point C shows a higher output and the point B shows a lower output. Isn't it? You see the B point, it is down and C point is upper. So the point C shows a higher output on the top and the B point shows a lower output down. If C is equal to A, this formula, this thing you will write. If C is equal to A, B is equal to A, then C is equal to B. But C is greater than B, which is illogical. Illogical means it's not favorable to the economical production. It's not illogical means not favorable. Next we will see about the upper Isaacson curve represents a higher level output. As we saw here, the curve A, C is upper, isn't it? B is lower. You see the next curve. An upper Isaacson curve represents a higher level of output. Higher IQs means in Isaacson curves shows higher outputs and lower IQs shows lower outputs. For upper Isaacson curve implies the use of more factors than the lower Isaacson curve. So the upper Isaacson curves use more factors, that is land, labor, capital. But the lower Isaacson IQs use lesser factors. So higher IQs shows higher outputs, lower IQs shows lower outputs. For upper Isaacson curve implies the use of more factors than the lower Isaacson curve. Lastly, we will see about the Isaacan curve does not touch either x-axis or y-axis. You see the curve and the explanation. No Isaacan curve touches the x-axis and y-axis because in IQ1, that is Isaacan curve 1, only capital is used. In Isaacan curve 2, only labels used. So they can't intersect each other. So they won't touch each other. X-axis and y-axis, isn't it? You can see in the curve. Next, we will see about the elucidate the laws of returns to scale. Laws of returns to scale means the factor of production. This is called as the factor of production. In the long run, factors of production mean the input and output, long run and short run. Long run means firms, industries. Short run means small scale industries. All these things will come under short run. First, we will see about in the long run, there is no fixed factor. All factors are variable. That is land, labor, capital. 3 factors we have taken, isn't it? The 3 factors are variable. They are not equal. They are not, the same level of labor is not used. The same level of land is not used. The same level of capital is not used. All are used in different levels. So, all factors are variable means varying, changing. The laws of returns to scale explain the relationship between output and the scale of inputs in the long run when all the inputs are increased in the same proportion. That is, it is telling the laws of returns to scale explains about the relationship between the output and the input. Output and input, okay. In the long run, when all the inputs are increased in the same proportion, but the output will be the same. Now we will see the assumptions. All the factors of production such as land, labor and capital are variable, varying different level, but cognization is fixed. There is no change in technology means the same model is made, any product is same model is made, same method is used, same technique is used. There is perfect competition in the market. Perfect competition means large number of buyers and sellers. Homogeneous product means single product, free entry and exit of trade, perfect knowledge of the market and no absence of price control. All these are there in the market. So that is called as perfect competition. Outputs or returns are measured in physical quantities. As I told in the first question, physical quantities means it may be a gram, milligram, kilogram, liters, etc. So now we will see about the first one, that is increasing returns to scale. Now we are seeing the laws of returns to scale. Laws, there are 3 types of laws of returns to scale. First one increasing, constant and decreasing. So first one we will see. In this case, if all inputs are increased by 1%, output increases by 1%, by more than 1%. Increasing returns to scale means, in this case, if all inputs, what are the inputs? Land, labor and capital are the inputs. When it is put inside the production organization by 1%, output also increases by more than 1%. So you will see more than 1%. That is called as increasing returns to scale. Next one, constant returns to scale. In this case, if all inputs are increased by 1%, output increases only 1% is equal to 1%. That is called constant returns to scale. Lastly, we will see diminishing returns to scale. Diminishing means decreasing. In this case, if all inputs are increased by 1%, but the output increases by less than 1%. Less than means reducing. So now we will see the diagram for the laws of returns to scale. You see the diagram. X-axis is labor and y-axis is capital. So 1, 2, 3, 4 they are marked. You see the curves, only the curves. I will tell you, explain the curves diagram here. The movement from point A to point B represents increasing returns to scale. You see the diagram as I tell you, you see the diagram. Point A is there and above that the point B is there. Because between these 2 points, output has doubled but output has tripled. So it is increasing, isn't it? The law of constant returns to scale is implied by the movement from point B to point C. You see the next point that is going up, upper stage. B to C, you see the curve, it's going up. Because between these 2 points, inputs have doubled and output also has doubled. So it is increasing. Last point, decreasing returns to scale are denoted by the movement from the point C to point D, since doubling the factors from 4 units to 8 units produce less than the increase in inputs. You see the difference between the C and D, a long distance is there between the C curve and D curve, isn't it? So decreasing returns to scale are denoted by the movement from point C to point D, since doubling the factors from 4 to 8 units produce less than the increase in outputs. Even though there is inputs are increasing 4 to 8, but the output is what? It is lesser than only. Lastly, we will see about the explain the internal and external economies of a scale. What are the internal and external economies of scale? Economies are broadly divided into two types by Marshall: the internal economies and external economies. First, we will see about the internal economies of scale. The internal economies, the term internal economies of scale refers to the advantages enjoyed by the production which causes a reduction in the cost of production of the commodity. That is, when a production is going on, then the cost is reducing by the producer. The producer is trying to reduce the cost of production of the commodity by using less electricity, using advertising charges less. So these are the internal economies are various types. That is technical economics. Technical means using simple technologies and making the product. Financial economies. Financial economies means big firms can float shares in the market for capital expansion, while small firms cannot easily float shares in the market. And next one, managerial economies means large scale production facilitates specialization and delegation. Next, labor economics. Labor economics means large scale production implies greater and minute division of labor. This leads to specialization, which enhances the quality. Lastly, we will see about the economies of survival. Economies of survival means product diversification is possible when there is large scale production. This reduces the risk in production. So these are the internal economies taken over by the producer. Now we will see about the external economies of scale. The external economies of scale refers to changes in any factor outside the firm. Outside the firm means outside the industry, causing improvement in the production process, increased transport facilities. First one, increased transport facilities. That is, the firm and the market will be very closer. So what will happen? The transport facilities will be easy for the consumers, the retailers, wholesalers to take it very easily. The banking facilities will be favorable to the traders. Development of township. All these things will develop the economies of scale. And next one, development of information and communication. Information and communication means the communication will be easy with the traders, the producer and the consumer and the mediators. With this, we finish this lesson, students. We will continue in the next class with the next lesson. Thank you, students. God bless you.